Board of Health meeting.
I'm starting the
7th,
recording,
2020.
George.
Is it running?
It's running.
Okay. Today is December 7th, 2020. This is the Lunenburg Board of Health meeting. It is 7 p.m. I will now open the meeting. Our vice chairman will read the legal ramifications of what we are doing tonight. Perry, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, George. This is Perry Jewell, the vice chairman of the Board of Health. And as a preliminary matter, I need to first, I guess, acknowledge that we have a quorum and that, so please respond if you can hear me. The chairman, George Emond.
Aye, here.
And I see Paul Fortin, a member, our clerk.
Here.
And I think we're expecting Evan Waters, but I don't see him yet. Similarly, our agent, Jim Gareffi, is present, and our administrative assistant, Andrea Schnipp. And also present is Doug Smith, who will be speaking with regard to a couple of our applications tonight. I do see Evan Waters just joining us now. I'm just admitting him. Evan Waters is a member, of course. So that we do have 4 members of the board and 1 of our speakers, and we expect 1 other speaker. So good afternoon or good evening. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel, and that this meeting of the Board of Health of Lunenburg is being conducted remotely. The town of Lunenburg, in response to the COVID-19 coronavirus, is currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Massachusetts Department of Public Health, and CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread. And all town facilities are currently closed to the public except by appointment. In accordance with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Paragraph 20, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town website on the COVID-19 Information Center page, accessed through the town manager's webpage, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. And this meeting will allow limited public comment at the end of the meeting, limited to 3 minutes per speaker unless more being allowed by the chairman. At this meeting, the Lunenburg Board of Health is convened via Zoom application as posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. The meeting is being recorded, and most attendees participate by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks probably will be able to see you, and take care in screen sharing your computer. Anything you broadcast will be captured by the recording. As we turn to the first items on the agenda and turn it back to the chairman, there are a few ground rules. The chairman will introduce each speaker on the agenda, and after they conclude their remarks, the chair will invite others for comments, questions, and motions. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. This tends to eliminate feedback. Please remember to speak your name clearly and in a way that helps to generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait for the chairman to yield the floor to you. and members wishing to engage with other members even, please do so through the chairman. And finally, each vote taken at this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, the meeting is all yours.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thank you, Perry. As most folks here anyway, and if you're listening at home or watching at home, the town of Lunenburg has reverted from a phase one, step two to a phase one, step one. This is because of the high rate of COVID virus that has been detected within the town, which exceeds the maximum allowable for the various stages. We are not alone in this. There are many, many towns and cities in the Commonwealth that have been reduced primarily because of this surge, and now what they're saying is a surge within a surge. Well, God bless us all, and let's hope that this goes away quickly. On our agenda, our first item is 72, where is it? 72 is Doug, 72 what?
72
Parkway.
Maple Parkway.
Right, and you're looking for 3 variances, I believe. All to CMR 1515405. You want to outline what they are and what we're looking for?
Okay. Yeah, this is about a half-acre lot, an existing home. It did not pass the Title V, so I have a new design to put everything together for this piece of property. Put in a new 1,500-gallon septic tank, a 1,000-gallon pump chamber, and around a 600-square-foot Presby system. And to get things to fit, the first local upgrade variance was to have a 24-inch reduction. Instead of having it 4 feet above seasonal high, it's going to be 24 inches above the high groundwater for the bed bottom. That's 310 CMR 15405-1H. Then the second variance has to do with the 12-inch separation in the tank inlet, tank outlet, and pump. Instead of having 12 inches, it's going to end up having 6 inches in the tank inlet, 3.5 in the tank outlet, 2.5 for the pump inlet, and 2 inches in the pump outlet. And the next variance has to do with we had to send a sample instead of having a perk test. It was too wet. So we have the lab test, and it came out as a group 2 soil. So those are the 3 state local upgrade. And then I added a Lunenburg Board of Health variance, and that has to do with Article 4, Section 2. All soil absorption systems would have to be 100 feet from any watercourse, stream, brook, river, pond, or BVW. And there is a non-perennial stream ditch in the back of the property, and it's been flagged. There's 8 wetland flags out there, and we are 55 feet from the edge of the system to that. And I am in the process of submitting a determination of applicability to conservation. So those are all the variances we're looking for this property.
Thank you, Doug. Does anyone have any questions or comments from the board? Jim?
So Maple Parkway is kind of a tough section of Lunenburg, high water table, existing houses that are already kind of set at the elevations that they're going to be set at. So one of his variances is because the plumbing is just set where it is and you can't really raise it any higher. We've kind of found the best location to have that system sited. Unfortunately, there is kind of a drainage ditch slash brook, whatever you will, in the back part of that property. So there's really not much else you can do. I think based on the site conditions and the fact that we're trying to upgrade it, I don't see any issues with the request.
Thanks, Jim. Okay, no one else has any comments or questions of Jim or Doug? Okay, there being none, we can entertain a motion to grant the approved variances or to deny any of the three variances. Would someone make a motion to approve or deny?
Chairman, this is Evan Waters.
Evan,
I would move that we approve the variances as requested.
okay. We have a motion on the floor to approve the three variances plus the Lunenburg variance. Can we get a second, please?
I'll second Jim.
Okay, Paul, thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Paul?
Paul Fortin, aye.
Let's see, Perry? It's me, George Emond.
Perry
Aye.
Jewell, aye.
And Perry. Aye. Okay. Okay, motion is approved unanimously by voice vote. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Lynn. Let's see, what's next?
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman, we have someone by phone call here joining the meeting as well. Let me just kind of ask who it is and maybe I'll put,
Yep.
is that, I think we were expecting either Bob Proctor or Brian.
That's Bob Proctor.
Okay, Bob.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
change,
this is
I'll just designate who you are on this. And I think,
This is,
again, it's Doug has another one, so I'll turn it back to the chairman. Mr. Chairman?
Okay.
Okay, so we have one visitor with us?
No, it's Bob Proctor who it's.
Oh, Bob Proctor. Okay, I didn't hear him. Hi, Bob.
How you doing?
The,
I'm waiting for Lancaster Ave, so I think there's one more before me.
okay, yeah, we have one here that we're going to do right now. This one is for 112 South Row Road. This is another one from Soil Smith Designs, asking for a local upgradable approvals of 310 CMR 15405-1H. Local upgrade approval allows a reduction in the 4-foot requirement separation between the bed bottom of the soil absorption system and the high groundwater. Okay, Doug? That's
Yes,
not-
on this one, it's just the one variance. I was able to fit a stone and pipe system in the back. They'll put a combination tank with a pump chamber in it. The house is on a slab on about a 1/4 acre lot. And do have to use a poly barrier to get the fill to fit. But other than that, everything comes into place pretty well with this one variance of the 1-foot separation.
Okay. Any board members have any questions about this request? Any comments about this request? Jim?
So again, small lake lot. We're not near the lake, but down in that neck of the woods. Soil wasn't too bad. Unfortunately, the water table is always high in those areas. The lot is very small, which makes it kind of difficult to fit a system in on there. So there's why the need for the barrier to kind of keep the fill on the site. Again, we're going to get rid of the well that's in the front of the house because it'll be too close, connect the house to town water. Again, I think it's a good fix for the site.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
Yep.
It does sound like I was looking at the plan for this, and it doesn't seem to have a whole heck of a lot of choice, and this one seems to fit the bill and solve the issue nicely, especially the fact that you're able to tie into the Lunenburg Water District water, which is a lifesaver in a lot of these situations. If there are no questions or comments, we can entertain a motion to grant the requested variance.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we grant the local upgrade approval requested.
Okay. Perry approves, makes a motion. Who wishes to second this motion?
I'll second it, George.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Okay, we will do a roll call vote. Perry?
Perry Jewell, aye.
Paul?
Paul Fortin, aye.
Let's see who else is here. Evan?
Waters, aye.
And me, George Emond, aye. Motion's been made, seconded, and approved, and the variance is granted.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Have a good night.
You too.
I'm sorry, what? Excuse me just a minute. Be right back.
We are running, this is Perry Jewell, Vice Chairman. We are running a little bit ahead of schedule. So George may want to wait a moment or two to get a little closer to our 7:30 time for the next item.
All right.
It makes it difficult. I shouldn't say difficult. It's nice that we have these that go through so easily. Sometimes it takes, I guess the meeting before last, we were here a couple of hours, so we had a heck of a time with a couple of them.
Hey, George,
Yes,
I thought it was good that they're gonna remove that tree that's so close to the system, because the roots would eventually like go into that system and really
yes.
mess it up.
Yeah, that does happen from time to time. And then they can run into some problems. Sometimes when you have even drain pipes in some of these older homes that have drain pipes and a lot of trees around them. We live in the country.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's, you have to get in there and grind them, and, oh, that can get expensive. I do have a correspondence that came from our agent, Jim Greffy, who had forwarded it to me. And this had to do with our I don't want to say demotion, but our change in status. And I can read a piece of it to you. And this comes from the Commonwealth of Mass itself. Effective December 7th, which is today, 2020, your municipality must revert to step 1 of phase 3 of the Commonwealth's reopening plan as outlined on COVID-19 Order 56. The order specifies that a community must revert to step 1 of phase 3 if it is designated in the red category for 3 consecutive Department of Public Health weekly reports. I'd like to comment here that the folks will probably remember or not, but the state changed their metrics so maybe a month ago because there were some little glitches in the thing that tended to distort the results of various towns because of their population makeups. And it kind of artificially, without any numbers of cases changing, reduced a lot of people's standing, or I should say increased their standing from where they were probably yellow, they ended up to be a green, and so on and so forth. And of course now, with the surge, we're paying for it. As things go on and says the following types of businesses are prohibited from operating during step 1 of phase 3. And it goes on to say indoor theaters and performance venues, roller skating rinks, trampoline parks, obstacle courses, laser tag, and escape rooms. I shudder to think what an escape room is. The following types of businesses must reduce capacity to 40%, which are currently 50%, when operating during step 1 of phase 3. driving schools, flight schools, gyms, libraries, museums, arcades, and lower contact indoor and outdoor recreation businesses. Again, this has an impact on many of the smaller businesses to stay in business and to be able to support themselves, which is a tragedy in itself. That's my comment. During step one, outdoor gatherings at event venues and in public settings are limited to 50 people. During step one, outdoor theater and performance venues may operate at 25% capacity, but no more than 50 people. Along with this came a little chart that pretty much said the same thing. And unfortunately, I'm not sure that we're going to see a whole heck of a lot of change or improvement, at least before the beginning of the year. Jim, would you have anything to add? Jim Gariffi, our Board of Health agent, is also the director of the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health, which is a 16-town consortium who share pains and woes and sorrows. And Jim is our major contact with Boston, and he knows an awful lot more than any of us do about this. Jim, is there anything you can add?
So the numbers are starting to come down a little bit this past week. There weren't as many cases, so hopefully that's a trend that will continue. Actually, it's on Evan's chart, it shows it very quickly and very graphically, so it's nice to see that. It's probably great for the public to see that, you know, you're starting to see that change. Hopefully that change continues. Unfortunately, because of, you know, and all of the increases really started to ramp up the beginning of November, and because of the state's process of determining communities at lower risk, which is the state's term. If you meet certain metrics, your community is no longer considered at lower risk, and that's for 3 weeks. That puts you on kind of in a situation where, as George described, you have to change some of the business practices in town. We're hoping to be able to actually get back to a community at lower risk. You need to have 3 weeks. You're not considered a red community, so your numbers need to drop, and your positivity rate, because you're a town of over 10,000. It's both that red category is, or your categorization is both a combination of number of cases and the positivity rate that you're getting. So you trip both of those, and from the last reporting period, the positivity rate was actually coming down. So again, if the cases keep trending down a bit, hopefully that positivity rate will trend down. So I don't know if there's anything more in that regard you wanted to say, George?
Anything that you have, anything that came through the state today, or Jim, or that you heard?
Sure. So, you know, since March, we've been working with certain quarantine procedures from the state of Massachusetts on how to address quarantine with people who are close contacts. And in the past month, they've changed it twice. So this afternoon, they sent out new quarantine information, which is kind of a combination of the science that they've gathered, the experience that they've had with people with the disease, and kind of trying to balance, do a cost benefit analysis, understanding that if they're trying to get people to comply with quarantine, trying to tighten up that quarantine period actually may get them better compliance. So effective today, they have the quarantine periods are 7, 10 days, or 14 days. 7 days if you test on day 5 and have no symptoms and aren't sick by day 7, you can be released from quarantine. There's a 10-day quarantine process. So if you don't want to test, you can just wait out 10 days and then be removed from quarantine, or 14 days as the original quarantine period was stated. So I think it can be beneficial to people whose lives are being encumbered by the quarantine process, that with testing, using a little bit of the science now, we're actually able to allow them to reduce that quarantine period. So that's effective today. That just came out this afternoon. So going forward, we will, whenever we're dealing with quarantine, we'll address people in that regard. So that's the big change that happened today. Just so the board knows, we started, or I should say, I started meeting with school nurse leader and the superintendent on Mondays, just to get a sense of what's happening in the schools, just to hopefully get a little bit of advanced idea of what they're seeing in the school community. as it might relate to what we're seeing in the community overall. So I think those meetings are helpful. And I think they're seeing the same thing we're seeing, that, transmission, if we had to point to where it's happening, seems to be within families. You're seeing multiple positive cases at the same address, which is kind of indicating that though we're seeing more cases at the same household address. Again, hopefully that'll change as time goes on too. We're completing the the vaccine registration. So the state is getting ready for the distribution of vaccine. I don't think we at the local level will see that probably till April, May, if I had to guess. But we haven't gotten any information from the Department of Public Health yet on that. I know the governor had an announcement about initial doses coming to the state, but we are completing the vaccine paperwork that we need to do to be able to participate in the vaccine program. And we're waiting for guidance from the state to help us figure out how we're going to administer this. With H1N1, they had categories at which people could receive the vaccine first. I assume we'll have something similar with this vaccine. We're just waiting to see what those criteria may be before we set up clinics, because that may determine where we set clinics up. And I think, George, that's all the thing I have.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Thanks a lot. One of the things that just as you were speaking came to my mind was, I think on the news today somewhere, maybe I forget what channel it was, they were talking about 60,000 doses were coming into Massachusetts by the end of the year. Is this correct?
So the governor's announcement said, just around 60,000 doses of the initial 300,000 doses the Commonwealth can expect early on. So,
Yeah. Now I don't know which one this one is. Is this Pfizer stuff?
I would assume it's the Pfizer one. That's probably the first one that's getting approval.
And these take 2 shots, correct?
They do.
Yeah. Okay. So we get 60,000 coming, and we can inoculate 30,000 people.
Yeah, and this is the one that needs heavy duty cold storage. So if I had to guess, it's going to be something that's probably going to be, sent to hospitals to start doing healthcare workers, if I had to guess, because they probably have both the ability to store it and the ability to vaccinate people who need to be vaccinated and people who will be around in 21 or 28 days to get the second dose.
Yeah. The governor, I believe, announced that the Commonwealth was buying some low temperature refrigerators to handle some of this. I think they said 3, and I don't know how much this holds, but I could be wrong. Did you hear anything about that?
That I haven't heard. I know back in October, the end of October, beginning of November, CDC sent out information to the states to get them ready to start to handle the vaccine when it was going to arrive. And at that point, there were 2 or 3 vaccine candidates, all of which needed this really cold storage.
Right.
And so essentially what the CDC was saying to the states, start looking for this cold storage because this is the vaccines that are coming. So be prepared for it. So maybe the Commonwealth, based on that information, went out and purchased or, acquired or found this kind of storage out there to be able to store and administer that vaccine.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, this is Perry Jewell, Vice Chair.
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know that I did admit Brian Milisci from Whitman Bingham.
Okay.
So both he and Bob Proctor,
Okay.
we've been having, of course, this discussion as we awaited for the 7:30 time slot for that particular application.
Well, I don't think this was time wasted. I think it was.
Oh, not at all. And
I
the one
think it was
complicating
extremely
factor I
valuable.
might also add, Mr. Chairman, if I could, is that with the Pfizer vaccine, which requires it's extremely cold temperature, there apparently are often some side effects, sort of a mild case of COVID, if you will. So that I know that most of the thinking seems to be that they would not vaccinate, all of the healthcare workers at once, but do it, phase it, so that they made sure that it didn't knock out too many healthcare workers at the same time.
Over the weekend, one of the news stations, probably more than one, televised an interview they did with a young doctor who had gone through the testing. He said it was miserable. He said he was sick as a dog for 24 hours before his body finally got acclimated to it. Of course, you don't know everyone's going to be the same. Different people react to different medications in different ways.
But there are many considerations, obviously. At any rate,
I'd rather suffer for a day than not ever suffer again. Well, it is 7:30. My goodness, it's almost 7:31. Time flies when we're having fun. Our next and final agenda item for this evening is 1480 Lancaster Avenue, an upgrade to a soil absorption system. Who is representing the owner of the property?
If Brian's there, I'll relinquish the floor to him and let him explain.
Brian?
Okay, for the record, I'm Brian Milisci with Living Associates. Good evening, gentlemen.
Brian,
What we have in front of you is a septic system upgrade plan for 1480 Lancaster Ave. What we propose to do is more or less replace the system in the existing spot. However, what we're going to do is we're going to enlarge the bed. Basically size it on a 6-bedroom design. And if you look at the plan, I see somebody kind of flipping through a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to add a second septic tank off of the existing septic tank, plumb it back into the existing pump chamber, and then pump it up to the new field. Bob had gone out, previously and dug around a little bit and found that, some of the septic stand underneath the existing field was in pretty decent shape. It's just a matter of, we do think the system's just getting overloaded. It was originally designed for a 3 or 4 bedrooms. And I believe some of the water records show that, that they were using the system quite a bit.
Let me, I do have a letter here, and I can read the requested variances here for the other members of the board. We're looking for upgrade approvals for 310 CMR 15405. I, reduction of the required 4-foot separation between the bottom of the leach area and the estimated seasonal high groundwater table. A 3-foot separation is proposed. 4051I. The other one was H, yeah. A sieve analysis may be performed if a percolation test cannot be performed. A sieve analysis was performed in lieu of the percolation test due to high groundwater. And 310 CMR 15405-1J. Reduction of the required 12-inch separation between inlet and outlet tees and estimated seasonal high groundwater elevations. You gave us the information for the first two. You didn't give me any numbers for the reduction of the inlet and outlet tees. Can you tell me how much those were going to be, Brian?
They're basically,
From 12 to what?
we had a high water table about 24 inches. And in order to get the cover over the tank, these things are going to be just about at, if not just a couple inches above that high water table.
But your Title V requires a 12-inch separation. What are you proposing it's going to be?
It's just going to be a couple of inches. Like I said, I know Title V for new construction, obviously, we would have to lift that site, lift those tanks up. But in order to do that, the septic tank and pump chamber would no longer service the existing plumbing coming out of the house.
Okay.
Which is why we're asking for the local upgrade.
I understand that, but what I'm looking at, I'm still looking at Title V and I'm looking at J. I'd like to know how many inches you're supposed to have 12 inches. What's it going to be? Is it going to be 10? It's going to be 2? Is it going to be 1? What's it going to be?
It's going to be about 3 or 4 inches.
Okay, 3 or 4. When you send these letters in and you're asking for variances, we really like to know how much it's going to be.
Okay.
It's a requirement. Title V says we should have it, so I'm going to put down 3 inches. Is that for both inlet and outlet?
It is.
Okay. Okay, in the Lunenburg Board of Health Regulations, Section 3A, the bottom of the leach field shall be, the leach area shall be at least 4 feet above the estimated water table, and you're looking at 3 feet. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments from the board? Jim?
So this system was upgraded, I think it was 2011, I think, originally. And again, as Brian mentioned, the water use seems to have exceeded the system's capacity to handle it. So in looking at a solution for it, we decided that, some additional settling time may be useful. And so that's why we proposed, or they proposed, putting in a second tank and making the field bigger so that there was a bigger area for the water to go into the ground. So I don't think that, it meets all the well offsets. So I don't have an issue with the request that they have.
How many bedrooms are in this house?
So the assessors say 4, but there's probably more rooms than the more rooms than, should be, I guess, for a 4-bedroom house. So I think, I don't know what's happening in the house. We have an indication based on water use. But again, we're trying to design a system that won't fail for the house that's there.
I haven't seen this. This system was upgraded in 2011, did you say?
Yeah, I believe.
And at that time, have you had a chance to look at that permit? What was being required? Were they?
So it's essentially the same variances being requested.
Yeah, I understand that, but was it for a 3-bedroom house?
Was for a 4-bedroom.
4-bedroom house? Okay.
Yep.
And now we're jacking it up to a 6?
Well, I think what we're trying to do is put a system in that's kind of the same size as the number of rooms that may be in the house based on the assessors.
Okay, I guess my question is if we put a 6-bedroom system, 6-bedroom septic system in there, it opens the door to increase the size of that house to 6 bedrooms.
So what you could do is, as a condition of the variances, require a deed restriction being placed on
Yes.
it.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
4-bedroom.
I think that would be a requirement.
Okay.
Title V doesn't like you doing this sort of thing, but,
Yep.
okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? Someone care to make a motion to this effect? Is there a
I
motion
can
to?
do, Mr. Chairman, this is Perry Jewell.
Yes, Barry.
I can do that. I can move that we grant the 3 local upgrade approvals and the 1 local variance requested and include as part of the requirement a deed restriction on the property to 4 bedrooms as currently designed.
Okay. Motion's been made. Is there a second on the floor?
Chairman, this is Evan Waters. I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded to grant the requested variances with a deed restriction to 4-bedroom occupancy. All in favor? Perry?
Perry Jewell, aye.
Evan?
Waters, aye.
Paul?
Paul Thornton, aye.
George Emond, Chairman, I am going to abstain. The motion passes. The,
Bob, does that, Mr. Chairman, Perry Jewell here,
yes,
just a question for Bob Proctor since he is with us. Bob, does that seem to meet your needs?
Yes, I think so. I can't see why it shouldn't. The 4-bedroom, I think that's what's in the house now. So, I have no issues with that. The only thing that I would be concerned about is somebody going in there and telling them that there's a room that now has to be changed. I haven't been in the house, so I don't know exactly, but being the devil's advocate, I would propose that whatever's existing to stay, whether it's 4 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms. I mean, we're designing the system for a 6-bedroom house. I think that if you guys want to put a deed restriction on it, just put a restriction on it that no more bedrooms than what's there are allowed. And
Well,
not put
I
a
think
number.
the 4,
Well, that's what we just.
there's a
that's what
reason
we
for
just
the 4,
approved.
and that's probably, even that George is probably struggling with and abstained. But it seems like the 4 would be the way the board would normally do this, or not at all.
Okay,
But with regard to inspecting the house and so on, we don't do that.
right.
No,
Okay.
but the assessors will maintain this house as a 4-bedroom home.
Right.
We show it as
For any
4-bedroom.
future sales, yeah. I'm
And the
sorry?
deed restriction will make sure that when it goes to get sold, that it's in the record that that's what the house is.
Right,
As a 4-bedroom house.
Yeah.
yes.
That's the importance of throwing a number in there, Bob, because a deed restriction
Yeah.
without a number is not much of a restriction.
Right. No, I understand that. You understand where I'm coming from too, I'm sure. So,
Absolutely.
I'm not asking for them to add on another bedroom by any means. I just,
Well, no, we've granted the variances, Bob. We're just putting a condition on it.
okay,
Okay. The motion's made, the motion seconded, the vote has a majority vote. So the requested variances are granted.
okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Okay,
Thank
Thank
you.
you, thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night.
good night.
Right.
Good
Goodbye.
night.
Okay, our business is completed. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to talk about before we adjourn?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I can help you out with, it's an IT issue. You're getting like an echo, right? For the rest of us, that's what,
yes.
when you talk. And I can give
We
you,
get it everywhere.
yeah, I can give you a pair of ear plugs. They're like, you just put them in your ear and you plug them into your computer. And you can just speak into the computer and you won't hear yourself. Nobody else will hear you and you'll get it in real clear.
Send me an email on where I can get those, Paul.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Andrea just said something. You have that information, Andrea?
I have earbuds, yes.
Oh, earbuds. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, if that's it, gentlemen, we can take a motion to adjourn.
Chairman, this is Evan Waters.
Yes,
On the agenda, I see that we have a minutes approval from November 16th.
oh, okay, that's right, we didn't have that. I don't think that's on the agenda. Oh, yes, it is, okay, I looked, it's way down, okay. One more item before we adjourn. We have the November 16th, 2020 minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at them? Are there any amendments or omissions? We don't hear any, so we can take a motion to approve the minutes of November 16th. Evan, go right ahead.
Chairman, this is Evan Waters. I motion.
That's right. Evan made a motion to approve the minutes. Can we have a second, please?
I'll second it, George.
Okay, Paul, you second it. All in favor? Evan?
Waters, aye.
Paul?
Paul Fortin, aye.
Barry?
Perry Jewell, aye.
George Emond? Aye. Okay, that's done. Now we can adjourn.
Well,
There is no
Mr.
new
Chairman,
business.
this is Perry Jewell.
COVID-19. Yeah,
I just thought it might be appropriate to ask Evan to comment on his graphs that he was kind enough to
oh, yes.
send out to us, and any other COVID comments that Jim might have.
I think Jim filled us pretty much in.
I think so,
But
but-
Evan, thank you very much again for those charts. I was thinking, we're gonna have to start printing the thing sideways so if it gets much higher.
I've started to move to a quarter of a monthly instead of just a week.
Yeah.
Just because it's going out. for a
Bi-weekly,
while.
yeah. Well, actually, that's a 2-week average that they're throwing us now, so.
Yeah, that's the lines that I'm doing
Publishing it
are
once a
2-week lines. So those were.
Just back up a week, yeah.
Otherwise, it's
Yeah. I was thinking that when I printed that thing out the other day, I'm gonna have to print it the long way. Yeah, I really like looking at that. It's just more graphic and it just hits you a little bit better than trying to remember what it was before you can't visualize it. The visualization makes it terrific. Thank
To
you
me,
very
the
much.
toughest part is when you get just the total number of cases, because it doesn't give me, I don't remember what it was last week. So
Yeah.
you tie to me, is that good or bad? And as I think Jim was saying,
Okay.
we're trending now.
Yeah. Jim
One
says
more
that-
item, Mr. Chair, if I could, just to put out a call to those who might be watching and to our members, that if they have any friends or associates or they themselves would like to, serve on the Board of Health, that perhaps they could contact Andrea and Andrea could help them to fill out a talent form that we could, make available so that we could fill what we anticipate will be another opening here fairly quickly. As you know, our missing member tonight is in the process really of moving.
He has resigned.
Okay.
And I believe Evan is going to FinCom, are you not?
Not going to, but apparently they asked if I
Right,
could.
in addition to. So he will
So
be joining FinCom, from what I understand.
possibly, I have an interview
So
tomorrow.
congratulations. So,
But I think FinCom is an
It's
appointed
appointed.
committee.
It's appointed.
Yes.
And so he can serve on both. He can continue to serve
Right.
Yeah, you can
I'm
continue
just
to
saying
serve.
congratulations.
on one elected and one
Thank you ahead of
appointed
time.
for sure.
Anything else from anybody? You sure? Okay, we can entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
I'd be happy to so move, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
It's Perry
Perry
Jewell.
has made a motion to adjourn. Second?
I'll second it, George.
Thank you, Paul. Second is by Paul. Motion is made and seconded. All in favor? Perry?
It's Perry Jewell, aye.
Evan?
Waters, aye.
Paul?
Paul Fortin, aye.
George Emond? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for coming this evening, gentlemen. It was a good meeting, as they all are. Evan,
Shut
how
the
could you
recording
possibly
off.
want to leave us?
No, I was congratulating
Yeah.
Very much.
on his appointment.